The story begins in 1962, where we see a massive ship sailing in the middle of the Italian Ocean. It was a luxurious and extremely expensive vessel called the Antonio Graza. All of the passengers on board were enjoying themselves in the grand ballroom, dancing and celebrating. Among them was a little girl named Katie. Unlike the adults, Katie wasn't interested in the party at all, so instead of dancing, she sat alone in a corner solving a word puzzle. A few moments later, the ship's captain noticed Katie sitting by herself and invited her to dance with him. Katie happily agreed and joined the captain on the dance floor. Meanwhile, in the ship's control room, a mysterious man was shown pulling a lever. The moment he did, a thin steel wire shot across the ballroom, slicing through everyone in its path. Within seconds, the passengers met a horrific death. Miraculously, Katie survived because of her short height, allowing the wire to pass above her. However, the terrifying scene around her left her completely traumatized. She looked at the captain she had been dancing with just moments earlier and saw that his face had been sliced cleanly into two halves. The horrifying sight made Katie scream in terror. The story then jumps to the present day, where we are introduced to a marine salvage crew whose job is to recover ships stranded at sea. On this particular day, they successfully complete a difficult recovery mission and receive a huge payment for their work. To celebrate, the team throws a party. The crew consists of 5 members, including a woman named Maureen Epps, while the rest are men. As they enjoy their celebration, a man named Jack suddenly arrives. Jack introduces himself as a weather service pilot and tells them about a ship that has been lost somewhere in the ocean. He explains that 40 years ago, a vessel called the Antonio Graza mysteriously vanished without a trace. Jack explains that the ship is carrying a massive treasure, one that could change all of their lives forever. According to him, the vessel is somewhere in the Bering Sea, and if they can find it, they'll become rich overnight. In return, Jack asks for 20% of the treasure. The captain of the salvage crew, Sean Murphy, asks the rest of the team for their opinion. At first, everyone refuses because they already have plenty of work lined up. However, Sean points out that if the treasure is real, it will be divided into 6 shares, meaning each of them will receive a huge amount of money. Hearing this, the crew quickly changes their minds and agrees to the mission.
Sean then tells Jack that he won't be getting 20%, only 10%. After a brief moment of thought, Jack accepts the offer and insists on joining the expedition. The very next day, the team sets sail and arrives at the reported location. Strangely, their radar shows no sign of any ship for miles around. Then, out of nowhere, a giant vessel suddenly appears directly in front of them. The surprise appearance causes their boat to collide with it, although the damage is minor. Sean identifies the ship as the Antonio Graza, the same vessel that mysteriously disappeared 40 years ago in 1969. With no one else around and a fortune potentially waiting inside, the crew decides to board the ghost ship. Sean, Maureen, and the others head inside. As soon as they enter the ship, they begin hearing strange noises echoing through the empty corridors. Following the sounds, they eventually arrive at a large pendulum that is somehow still swinging after all these years. But the moment they approach it, the pendulum suddenly comes to a complete stop. One of Sean's crew members is just about to touch it when a loud and terrifying noise echoes through the ship, startling everyone. Nearby, an old Scrabble board can be seen, and its letters mysteriously rearrange themselves to spell the word welcome. Unfortunately, none of the crew notices it, and they continue exploring. A few moments later, disaster strikes. The floor beneath them suddenly collapses, and one of their teammates falls straight through the opening. Fortunately, Maureen reacts just in time and grabs her teammate before he can fall to his death. Struggling with all her strength, she slowly pulls him back up to safety. While doing so, she suddenly notices a little girl standing nearby. It was Katie. Maureen stares at the child in confusion, but before she can say anything, Katie vanishes into thin air. The sight leaves Maureen completely shocked. After helping her teammate back up, she convinces herself that the little girl was probably just a product of her imagination. The crew continues exploring and eventually enters one of the cabins. Inside, they discover a digital wristwatch. Everyone is surprised because digital watches didn't even exist in 1962 when the ship disappeared. The strange discovery leaves the crew puzzled, but Sean suggests a simple explanation. He believes someone else must have found the ship before them, and the watch probably belonged to that person. The rest of the crew agrees with his theory. After spending some more time exploring, Sean decides that everyone should get some rest. He tells the team that once morning arrives, they will begin preparing the ship to be towed away. With that plan in mind, they return to their steamer for the night. A little later, Jack notices that Maureen has become unusually quiet. Curious, he asks what is bothering her. Maureen finally reveals what she saw on board the ghost ship. She tells Jack about the little girl she encountered and admits that the child seemed as if she was trying to tell her something. Before Maureen can figure out what the little girl is trying to tell her, Katie suddenly disappears once again. Jack listens to her story and explains that hallucinations are not uncommon at sea. He tells her not to overthink it and insists that what she saw was probably just her imagination. The next morning, the crew returns to the ship and discovers a major problem. There is a large hole in the vessel's hull, and because of it, the ship is expected to sink within 3 days. That makes towing it back impossible in its current condition. After discussing the situation, the team decides to repair the damage first and then attempt to move the ship. As everyone gets to work, a series of bizarre events begins to unfold. As Maureen explores the ship, she arrives at the swimming pool. The pool is completely empty, but its floor is covered with countless bullet casings. As she prepares to leave, she suddenly spots Katie again. The sight startles her so badly that she loses her balance and falls into the pool. The fall leaves a wound on her head, causing blood to trickle down her face. Strangely, the pool seems to absorb every drop of blood that touches it. Hearing her scream, Jack rushes over and helps her climb out. The two quickly leave the area. However, once they are gone, the camera focuses on the pool again. Slowly, it begins filling with blood, and moments later, dozens of dead bodies appear floating on the surface. The horrifying vision suggests that something supernatural is haunting the ship. Meanwhile, Sean discovers a bottle of wine and a glass already filled with wine inside one of the cabins. Thinking nothing of it, he reaches for the glass, but when he glances at a nearby mirror, he suddenly sees the reflection of the ship's captain standing behind him. Terrified, Sean drops the glass immediately. Elsewhere, Greer hears the sound of a woman singing somewhere deep within the ship. Curious, he follows the haunting melody until he reaches the same ballroom where the passengers were dancing back in 1962. Strangely, the room is completely empty. Seeing no one there, Greer leaves. As soon as he is gone, the camera reveals the source of the music. A woman is standing alone in the ballroom, singing the same song. It is the very same singer who performed at the party on the night the ship disappeared. She is not alive. She is a ghost. At the same time, Jack and Maureen enter another section of the vessel filled with seawater. Floating in the flooded chamber are numerous decomposed corpses, their bodies rotting after decades underwater. The gruesome sight horrifies both of them. They quickly move through a doorway into another compartment. By this point, Maureen is so frightened that she wants to leave the ship immediately, no matter what. Jack tries to calm her down, assuring her that everything will be fine. Then something catches their attention. In the corner of the room sits a large crate. When they open it, they are stunned to discover 28 gold bars inside, and that is only the beginning. There are 10 separate bags, each packed with gold. At that moment, they realize that Jack may have been telling the truth all along. The legendary treasure is real. After discovering such an enormous treasure, Maureen calls the rest of the crew to the chamber. The moment everyone sees the mountains of gold, they are overwhelmed with excitement. However, Greer tries to warn them that something is seriously wrong with the ship. He tells them that he heard a woman singing and even found a recently burned cigarette. Considering the condition of the vessel, it seemed impossible that anyone had been there for years. But nobody pays attention to his concerns. Their minds are completely focused on the treasure. Sean then announces that they should forget about salvaging the ship altogether and leave with the gold instead. After all, the treasure they came searching for has already been found. As far as Sean is concerned, the Antonio Graza no longer matters. The rest of the crew quickly agrees with his plan. The team loads all of the gold onto their steamer and prepares to leave. Unbeknownst to them, however, something sinister is happening in the background. One of the gas cylinders aboard the steamer mysteriously opens by itself, causing gas to leak throughout the vessel. At the same time, Maureen spots Katie once again. This time, the little girl is running directly toward her, as if she is desperately trying to say something. But before Katie can reach her, another ghostly figure appears and drags the child away. Terrified by what she has just witnessed, Maureen rushes back toward the steamer. Unfortunately, disaster strikes before anyone can leave. As one of the crew members starts the engine, a massive explosion tears through the vessel, killing him instantly.
Now, completely stranded, the survivors realize they have no easy way of escaping. Sean blames himself for everything, believing his greed led them into this nightmare. Maureen tries to stay calm and suggests that they can still repair the ghost ship and use it to get home. However, tensions are running high, and before long, the crew begins arguing among themselves. During the chaos, 2 crew members head to the kitchen in search of food. Surprisingly, they actually find some and begin eating without a second thought. But they are about to learn a terrifying lesson. This is not an ordinary ship. It is a ghost ship, and something aboard is manipulating all of them. As the arguments continue, the group eventually splits up and heads in different directions.
Sean wanders into a room where the strange visions become even stronger. This time, he doesn't just see a glass of wine, he sees the ship's captain himself. The captain offers him a drink and Sean accepts. The two sit together, calmly drinking wine as if nothing is wrong. Elsewhere, Greer finds himself caught in another hallucination. Suddenly, he's standing in the middle of a glamorous party where everyone is applauding him. A beautiful young woman then approaches and asks him to dance. It is the same singer whose voice he heard earlier and the very woman who was performing on the night the ship disappeared. Meanwhile, Maureen remains determined to uncover the truth about Katie. She begins searching through the ship's passenger records and carefully checks the list of everyone who was aboard. After going through the documents, she finally finds the little girl's name. Katie was indeed one of the passengers on the Antonio Graza. Continuing her search for answers, Maureen begins checking every cabin on the ship. Eventually, she reaches Katie's room where she makes a horrifying discovery. Hanging from the ceiling is Katie's skeleton, suspended by a rope. At that moment, Maureen realizes that Katie is dead and has been for many years. Just then, Katie's spirit appears before her once again. The little girl explains that in 1969, she was traveling to reunite with her parents, but she never reached her destination. After all these years, she believes her parents have probably passed away as well. Meanwhile, Sean is still speaking with the ghostly captain. The captain reveals a shocking truth. Back in 1962, his crew rescued another ship drifting at sea. Inside that vessel, they discovered a huge amount of gold. Blinded by greed, they transferred the treasure onto their own ship. According to the captain, that decision turned out to be the biggest mistake of their lives. Only 2 days later, their vessel mysteriously vanished forever. The captain then explains that there was only one survivor from that cursed ship. He shows Sean an old photograph of the man. The moment Sean sees the picture, he's horrified and finally begins to understand what is happening around them. The scene then shifts back to Katie and Maureen. Katie reveals that she is not the only spirit trapped aboard the ship. Countless other souls are imprisoned there as well. She explains that these spirits cannot move on and that something evil is collecting more and more souls. Once enough souls have been gathered, the trapped spirits will finally be released, but not in a way anyone would want. Before Katie can reveal the rest of the truth, a dark and sinister spirit suddenly appears. It grabs Katie and drags her away. As she's taken, Katie desperately tells Maureen to leave the ship before it is too late. At the same time, Sean has already figured out who's behind the terrifying events and why the crew is being targeted. He immediately sets out to warn the others.
However, before he can reach them, he encounters the horrifying vision of his dead crewmate. The man's body is horribly burned, making the sight even more disturbing. Elsewhere, the mysterious singer continues manipulating Greer. Using her beauty and charm, she lures him deeper into the ship. Completely enchanted, Greer follows her without hesitation. As soon as he reaches her, tragedy strikes. He falls from a great height and is killed instantly. Meanwhile, Maureen finally finds Sean. Unfortunately, Sean is no longer seeing reality clearly. Because of the hallucinations, Sean mistakes Maureen for his burned and deceased crewmate. Believing he is facing the ghost of his dead friend, Sean suddenly attacks her. Maureen fights back and manages to injure his leg, barely escaping with her life. Just when Sean is about to kill Maureen, he suddenly gets back on his feet and lunges at her once again. Fortunately, Jack arrives at the last second and pulls Maureen out of danger. Moments later, the rest of the crew also rushes to the scene. Believing that Sean has completely lost his mind, they lock him inside an iron chamber for everyone's safety. Afterward, the remaining survivors decide to follow Maureen's plan and continue repairing the ship. However, before they could make much progress, Katie's spirit appears before Maureen once again. Unlike the other ghosts haunting the vessel, Katie is a kind spirit who genuinely wants to help them escape.
Using her supernatural powers, she shows Maureen what really happened aboard the ship decades ago. Suddenly, Maureen finds herself witnessing the events of that terrible night in 1969. She watches as the ship's cook secretly poisons the passengers' food. Many people die after eating it, while the survivors are mercilessly gunned down by a group of crew members. The massacre was motivated by greed. The killers wanted the ship's gold for themselves. After murdering the passengers, the group makes its way to the cargo hold where the treasure is stored. But before they can enjoy their victory, the female singer arrives. Using her charm and beauty, she seduces one of the men and manipulates him into killing the others. Once the rest of the group is dead, she eliminates him as well. Now believing that all of the gold belongs to her, she prepares to claim it. But then the true mastermind finally reveals himself. With a simple gesture, he signals a man carrying a hook, and moments later, the singer is brutally killed too. At that moment, the horrifying truth comes to light. The leader of the murderous group was none other than Jack.
Maureen realizes that Jack brought them to the ghost ship for a reason. He never intended to help anyone find treasure. His real goal was to lure them aboard and add their souls to the countless spirits already trapped there. Jack is not a normal human being at all. He is a demonic entity that harvests souls and keeps them imprisoned aboard the cursed vessel. Shocked by this revelation, Maureen rushes to warn Sean. However, when she opens the chamber where Sean was locked up, she is met with another nightmare. The room has filled completely with water, and Sean has drowned inside. Now truly alone, Maureen shares the truth with one of the remaining crew members. Before they can decide what to do next, Jack appears. Maureen quickly hides the fact that she knows his secret and acts as though nothing is wrong. During the conversation, she subtly warns her teammate to stay alert. The two then head toward the engine room, where another crew member has become trapped while attempting to repair the ship. Unfortunately, they arrive too late. Just as Maureen is about to help him escape, the engine suddenly powers on by itself. The machinery tears the man apart, killing him in a horrific manner. Meanwhile, Jack has already realized that Maureen and the others know the truth about him. He moves in to kill the last surviving crew member. But things do not go according to his plan. The crewman reacts quickly, pulls out a gun, and shoots Jack. Believing they may have finally stopped him, he immediately runs to reunite with Maureen. Meanwhile, Maureen begins placing explosives throughout the ship, preparing to destroy it once and for all. However, the remaining crew member stops her and claims that he has already killed Jack, meaning there is no longer any reason to blow up the vessel. The truth, however, is far more disturbing. The crewman has become blinded by greed after seeing the mountains of gold aboard the ship. He wants to keep the treasure for himself and refuses to let Maureen destroy it. But Maureen refuses to listen. That is when the man reveals his true identity. He is actually Jack. It turns out that Jack is an incredibly powerful and dangerous demon, capable of taking on anyone's appearance. He explains that his purpose is to manipulate people into committing terrible sins, leading them to their deaths so he can trap their souls forever. Jack also reveals that he marks his victims with a hook-shaped symbol, allowing him to influence and control them. The spirits trapped aboard the ship have been helping him kill Maureen's crew because he needs more souls to complete his collection. But now, Maureen's plan threatens everything. If she destroys the ship, all of the souls Jack has imprisoned over the years will finally be set free, and that is something he cannot allow. Knowing this, Jack offers her a deal. He promises to spare her life if she agrees not to detonate the explosives. Maureen refuses without hesitation. Enraged, Jack attacks her. But just before falling, Maureen presses the detonator.
A massive explosion rips through the ghost ship, tearing the cursed vessel apart. As the ship breaks into pieces, the countless trapped souls finally begin to ascend and find peace. Among them is Katie. Before moving on, Katie helps Maureen reach the surface of the ocean. She thanks her for setting everyone free and then disappears into heaven along with the other liberated spirits. A short time later, a passing ship spots Maureen floating in the water and rescues her. Because of her injuries, she's taken to a hospital for treatment. Everything seems to be over. But while recovering, Maureen notices something horrifying. She sees Jack once again. The demon is alive and already moving on to his next target. He is accompanying another ship carrying a fortune in gold, ready to repeat the same cycle all over again. The moment Maureen realizes what is about to happen, she desperately screams in warning. And with that chilling scene, the story comes to an end.